Yeah, I know. I've gotten really good at clapping them cheeks.
Oh, God.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight is literally everyone. We have our Chivalry of Shota Shotaro.
Walk, walk, fashion, baby, move it, move. I said it wrong.
Nailed
Fuck
it.
that one up. Our czar of source material, John.
Clap them cheeks!
And our poser extraordinaire, Nitai.
Skin bone, chicken bone.
We're really good tonight, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. 10 out of 10.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, just diving right into tonight's topic. John,
Yes.
you ever wonder why we're here?
Just to suffer.
Every night.
And that is actually what we're going to be talking about. It seems like a simple question.
You're
but
right. We're gonna be talking about Metal Gear. Guess what? This
No,
is
no.
We fucking
we're
hijacked the
not.
podcast finally.
we
No,
hijacked
he's-
it. This will be a weapon surpass Metal Gear.
No, tonight we're going to be asking a very simple question that actually has a pretty nuanced answer, I think. But that's, why do we like anime? Literally, why are we here? Why are we doing this podcast? Why do we love anime so much, and what keeps us around?
And why the fuck would we make a podcast about it?
Yeah.
Like,
That's the real question.
who like, really? Why would anyone do this?
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought when I made this idea. When I had this topic
Yeah.
queued up.
We're all just masochists, and we all know
Yes.
it.
Basically.
Some of us actually are, but anyway, I guess the since this is like getting to know everyone 101, the obvious question to start with is actually what got us into anime in the first place. Does anyone else want to go first besides me? Because I feel like I've recounted how I got into anime many times in this podcast.
Not enough times, Alex.
Oh, let me guess. Was it by watching Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind?
You know, it's amazing you say that, John. Yes, it was.
It's not like we did a movie review. You bringing it up all the damn time.
I do. I probably say it way too much. But yeah, Nausicaa was my very first anime.
You never forget your first. Can't,
No, you don't.
can't
I
see
mean,
me,
I
but
was
I'm
6
winking.
years old.
Oh,
That was when I lost
God,
my
no.
anime virginity
Oh,
at
Oh,
6.
yeah.
dear.
Ooh, John, you're gonna get wet again.
Oh, God damn it.
God.
Stop the Metal Gear.
Can we not talk about me getting wet at 6 years old?
Oh, we're going to talk
On
about
that
shit.
it all.
slip and slide.
Ooh.
Oh my God!
I'm
What is this
surprised we haven't
podcast
been shut
become?
down yet. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
Well,
I mean that's it for me. Like, I've said it so many times in this podcast. I feel like there's nothing else need to be said.
what I'm pretty sure I've asked this before, but did you even know what anime was when you were 6, dude?
Kind of. I mean, I knew it wasn't like American, mostly because I kind of got introduced to anime through a cousin of mine who was much older.
Okay.
I believe he was like 12 or 13 at the time.
Okay.
So he was like middle school age.
Yeah.
And he was the one that actually got me the VHS tape of Nausicaa, and he was like, yeah, this is like made by, Japanese animation studio. It's Japanese directors. I knew it wasn't American.
Okay.
I knew it wasn't Disney, even though it kind of was.
Okay. Yeah, because so I always say Bleach is my first anime because it's the one where I crossed the line between I thought they were just cool cartoons dubbed in English to holy shit, there's so many more episodes, but they're in Japanese and I have to read subtitles. Also, what's anime? Like, as a kid, you can say my first anime was Pokemon, all right? Like, when I was 4 years old, I watched Pokemon. I fucking love Pokemon. I have all the VHSs from the first season and the first Pokemon movie. and I have the fucking M2M audio disc thing that has the Misty love song to Ash because I shipped that
Oh, boy.
super hard.
Oh no.
And like, I'm not shitting you. This is all real. And you know, I could say that's my first anime because I watched all that stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, all those when I was little. But
Yeah, but when the first time you saw Misty, did you realize it would lead to a crippling hentai addiction?
Oh, no.
Yes.
What the hell?
Stop.
Oh,
No
is that where
regrets.
she puts her star you?
Oh, no.
no regrets at all. I say Bleach because it was the very first show that I learned what Japanese was, that anime was Japanese, okay?
Oh, okay.
And that's when I was 14. It was like 13 years ago. Yeah, I was 14 years old, like just getting out of middle school, or just getting to the end of middle school. Was I 7th grade? Yeah, something like that. And yeah, and that's what really started the whole rabbit hole of like, now that I know that there's shows called anime, I started watching a shitload of things. And other than just Bleach and like Naruto and stuff like that. Like I remember my first one was after Bleach, after like watching all of that, it was Mine, which is like this rom-com, this shitty rom-com.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
It's a super stupid and like old, and it definitely does not hold up rom-com, but it did introduce me to the queen of tsunderes, Rie Kugamiya, okay? She's still the queen to me.
That's
and this
true.
was like in her heyday where she was the voice actress for every fucking tsundere character out there. Like she was in Shakugan no Shana, Mine. Those are the only two I can remember right now. Oh, she was
the Kana Hanazawa of that time.
yeah, she played all the lollies, and she still is around to this day. But yeah, that's like, oh my god, you don't even understand how my summer went. Like I had a laptop, I discovered Crunchyroll, started watching a shitload of anime, man. Like
God, remember when Crunchyroll put pirated anime on their
Yeah.
site?
Yeah,
that
it
was
was-
that was great times.
that was a great time. That's where I watched Mine originally, actually. And I, you know, it's funny because it's been 13 years and I still remember vividly what I watched that summer that I discovered anime. Because I remember I after I watched Bleach, I remember talking to one of my classmates and she had Inuyasha DVDs, like that, all of
Oh
it.
boy.
And for like 2.5 weeks, I just watched all the Inuyasha. I read all her manga that she loaned me. Like I just dived into this and I was like, yo, these are all the cartoons I used to watch as a kid late at night on like Toonami, and I didn't even know that it's anime. Like I just thought they were cartoons, right? It's nuts to me. And yeah, that's what started the rabbit hole.
Yeah, much like you, I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon when I was young, like around 8 years old. That could basically define my childhood, is Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon. I was obsessed. I even bullied my parents into taking me to Egypt to because
what?
I was
Wow.
so into the Egyptian aesthetic from Yu-Gi-Oh!
I bullied my parents into taking me to the mall to pick up Pokemon cards. I never tried to get them to take me overseas because of anime.
And then I ran away from my parents in Egypt, and I just like went to go find my Millennium Puzzle. Honey, no, but and then after that, I tried to bully my parents to go to Colorado because in the Digimon movie, that's where the Digimon tell you to go. So I'm like, if the Digimon tell me to go to Colorado, then I need to go to Colorado. But my parents caught on and they're like, why do you want to go to Colorado? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a nice place. And they're like, it's because this Digimon isn't there. I was like, no. It's like, we're not going to Colorado. I'm like,
Find your digital champions, your Digimon
Yes.
digital champions.
yeah. And that's why I've never found a Digimon, because I was never taken to Colorado. And that is the biggest regret of my
Oh,
life.
shit.
So, didn't your sister end up going to college in Colorado?
Yeah, it's because the Digimon told her. Hey, Digimon, hey. Okay. But yeah, obviously, I didn't really understand that this was a Japanese product or that this was anime as a child. My first, like, anime that I was consciously aware was anime was Death Note, and it was pretty funny because I got into that because from a recommendation of a friend that I was playing online Yu-Gi-Oh with, and he's like, hey, you like Yu-Gi-Oh? You should watch Death Note. And I'm like, totally, I'll do it. And then it all began there. And I watched, that was like so late for me. I watched Death Note at like 18 when I went into university, which is like super late for a weeb, I guess.
For a blooming weeb.
Yeah. But, I mean, looking back, a lot like your Inuyasha story, in like high school, I went on YouTube and I watched all of Yu-Gi-Oh from beginning to end, all the seasons, as well as Digimon, because I was just so desperate for anime content. I didn't know where to go. And I finally had the conscience, I don't know, the maturity to understand a plot that can be told linearly instead of just watching random episodes. So I'm like, oh my god, let me watch 407-minute episodes on YouTube and let me like have the best time of my life. But yeah, that was a fun journey for me.
I remember when YouTube wasn't shit. I mean, what?
I mean, it's always been shit, just in different ways.
I mean, yeah. I feel like for people our age, for watching anime like 10 plus years ago, watching it through YouTube, or not, no, way more than that, like 15 years ago, holy shit. Watching it on YouTube in like 7-minute increments was just a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just how
Whether
we
it
watched
was anime or even movies, entire movies
Yeah.
were just posted like that.
Everything was broken into, well, every anime episode was broken into at least 3 parts, and you had to watch it in like 7-minute increments. That's like how I watched a lot of of Naruto, actually.
Oh,
Same.
fuck.
Naruto and Bleach, dude, and One Piece. That's what I did. Oh my god, the nostalgia.
In fact, I think I watched all the way up to like episode 120 or something of Naruto before I realized, oh shit, it's on actual television too.
How about you, Nitai?
Yeah, when I was around, I think I was 6 years old. So there was just I guess the kids channel on TV that just like any other day I would watch, and they were there during the day shows like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Dragon Ball Z and all those shows. And it's funny to me when you say like Western shows, because alongside these shows, yeah, I would also watch like stuff like Cartoon Network and whatever, and it would all just be shows I watched on TV. And
Yeah.
but then at a certain point, I started to like stay up late and would just kept watching TV. And
What a naughty boy.
exactly. And on that same channel, around I think starting 10 p.m., they would start airing like actual anime Japanese. So they would air shows like Inuyasha and Bleach, and I think I'm blanking on the name of the show, but it's that one show about Go, you know that board game.
Oh, Hikaru no Go.
Yeah, Hikaru no Go. So, and that was in Japanese. So from that moment, I understood that also Pokemon and those other shows are just like, I guess, from Japan, but I never knew the term anime. So I just watched these shows as I was a kid, and then stopped at a certain point. And then in high school, I really got into watching a lot of Western TV shows. And we'll go back to that a bit later. But at a certain point, a good friend of mine was like, "Hey, you want to watch something else?" I was like, "Yeah, what is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's an anime called Death Note." I said, "Oh, okay." And he had like a poster of it on the wall. I was like, "Sure, whatever, sounds good." So later that day when I got home, I just decided, okay, let's check this out. Watch the first episode on some shady website online, and got through 5 episodes straight. And yeah, ever since then, I've been a weeb, I guess.
And you've been hooked like a meth addict ever since.
Yep.
See, that makes me think of, because if you didn't want to watch it on YouTube, you had to look through a bunch. There's so many like anime aggregate sites back then that all stole torrents from like Fucking Databayo. Remember that for Naruto, the people who do.
Oh,
who
I
subbed?
do.
I remember downloading from there, and people would always grab their subs and then like put it on the aggregate sites. And dude, oh my god, we're so old.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, it's funny to me because when I ask other people this question, like what animes they've seen, a lot of people do say Death Note. Like Death Note's
one of the biggest one.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously you have the people who are like, oh, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. You know, the typical shonen stuff that we watch as we think that it's cartoons, but then they realize it's...
Especially stuff from the late 90s.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, like Death Note, Oran Host High Schools Club or whatever, Oran Host Club?
Oran High School Host Club.
There
Get
we
it
go.
fucking right.
I don't care about that shitty anyway. Yeah, it's interesting to me that Death Note is a lot of like starter anime. A lot of people like just started it
just
back
like
then.
the edgiest anime to start with.
It's
not. I mean, it's not only the edginess. I think also it's like one of these shows that the anime aspect of it is not very prominent. There aren't a lot of like, you know, slapstick comedy and just like very, you know, just over the top animation in terms of like, you know, this guy is very it's like prominent in terms of his personality quirk. I mean, the most anime aspect of it, I feel, is El and Misa. And aside from that, it's like super grounded, you know? I think that's why it's very easy to get people to give it a try, because it's not too, I guess, normies that weird, you know?
Oh, well, you know, it's funny you say that because, like, when I first started getting into anime, it wasn't very easy to get. Like, in the mid-90s, it was fucking impossible to get. Like, you had to get these... Unless it was a Ghibli movie, you had to get it from some shady-ass person with a VHS copy of, you know, a fan sub, or you had to actually just get the Japanese version without subtitles, you know, imported from overseas. And then, like, the first anime I can ever really remember talking about with other people in any capacity was the original Full Metal Alchemist, because when I started high school in 2004, I remember a lot of people were actually talking about that show. And like not even people that were like super into anime. They just like really liked the show for the show.
Because it's got a banger OP, dude.
That was like the first time I realized that this could actually be something cool that you could talk with other people about.
Ready, steady, can't hold me back.
Yes.
Ready, steady, give me good luck.
And I think it's because back then it was like it was the very first thing that aired on Toonami. Like when the block started, it was always Full Metal Alchemist would come on.
So Toonami was that big for you guys, I would assume,
yeah,
right? Because
so,
that's something that keeps coming up in conversations.
A lot of people, especially a lot of people my age, when they started getting into anime in the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of people attribute Toonami with getting them into anime.
So the thing about Toonami was that it was the teenage, the seinen, like 14, 13-year-old like block of anime. It also had like younger anime on it as well, but it had like the better anime, you know?
Yeah.
The quality shit.
Because prior to that, what Americans have, we had like 4Kids, right? The Saturday cartoon block, which is 4Kids TV, which is like, you know, your typical Pokemon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Sonic. Captain Falcon was on there too. F-Zero. I remember that. And, you know, just typical stuff. But then after 4Kids, we had Toonami, which was this block of time. Like it's after 8:30, and it's right before Adult Swim starts, which was at like 10:30 or 10. 11. So we had like almost a 2-hour, almost a 3-hour block of like kind of older than 4Kids anime, but not necessarily like mature anime yet. So a lot of people would stay up and watch that. Like that's what I did. And that's just how Americans did it. Like that's how our TV was. And that's something I did want to ask. Like for someone who is a Westerner, but you're, you know, obviously you're not American. Like, did you guys have programs like that, like 4Kids and Toonami as well, or did you just have like a block of like, here's these cartoon shows mashed together?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we have this like there was this one kids channel that had all these different kind of programs for kids, obviously, and some of them like Western shows, some of them anime. and not even most, all of them were dubbed in Hebrew. Funnily enough, including the OPs to some of these shows. So we got the chala.
Wait, they were actually dubbed in Hebrew?
Yeah. So we got
shit.
Unlike you guys, we had Chala Chala, only it was dubbed in Hebrew, which was pretty sick. Also, Card Captor Sakura and all that stuff. So
I want to hear Ash Ketchum's voice in Hebrew now.
Remind me after we stop recording. I will send you a clip. It's pretty weird.
Oh my god, I want to see this.
Yeah, see, that's super crazy because like for us in America, we have 4 kids, and I remember that's Saturday. That was on Q13 for us, right? 13 Fox is my channel in Washington, but we also had other cartoon channels. Like not all our cartoons were on the same channel. We had we had like way more different. Like we had the Nickelodeon Tunes as its own channel, Disney was its own channel, and then Cartoon Network was its own channel, which was basically the raunchier version of the former. Like Nickelodeon and Disney are like kid baby stuff, and then Cartoon Network was like the raunchy stuff.
And then they also had the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Bloomberg. That was a TV channel too.
We did have a few different kids channels, but from what I can recall, most of the anime, if not all of them, were like actually it was I think that was in one channel, which is actually pretty interesting that now the other like channels actually got any anime, but there were a few. It just this one specifically for some reason that was the only one that had anime actually.
It's just wild to know that there's anime dubbed in Hebrew. Like, is that something that's still done?
Dude, yeah. I mean, there is still. Again, once we stop recording, I'll send you fucking
I gotta see some of this shit.
The second OP of Card Captor Sakura in Hebrew is actually pretty late. I'll send it to you.
I did not know this. Like, I know that there's obviously I know that there's other dubs besides English, but I feel like that Hebrew is such a niche market that they wouldn't bother making a dub.
Is it though? There's like I don't know how many million of children here, so you would assume like the programming would like they would want it to be in Hebrew.
I feel like localization is always just up to the people who want to spend the money, right? Because that's how it works.
I guess, yeah.
It's not the parent company that's going to be spending the money on localization unless they want to push to that market. It's the other people who want to localize it who are like, hey, we'll give you a certain cut of our money. And that's it. They don't have to do anything. We'll do everything. We'll give you a cut of the money, right?
True.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I remember, there was a public access channel that also played anime, but it was always in Chinese. It was the weirdest thing.
Really?
Yeah, it was in Chinese, and sometimes it was in Japanese. It was just a random public access channel that we had. I think it was run by college people that were just playing anime because they felt like playing anime. But yeah, it's just it made me remember that finally. I was like, oh, that's right. I never watched it because it wasn't in English. So I was like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm not going to read cartoons. That's stupid. I was a little mad.
Have I ever told you the story about the first time I actually watched the original Ghost in the Shell movie?
No.
Ooh. Them titties.
So, yeah, there are titties in it.
Cyber titties.
I was 9 years old. Which is far too young to watch the original Ghost in the Shell movie.
That's how old I was when I saw those anime fish titties in Blue Submarine #9.
Oh dear.
Blue Submarine.
Here you are now.
We talked about that in another episode a long time ago.
We did. And again, there's that crippling hentai addiction.
I wouldn't say it's crippling, but it's not like I check it every. Well,
what is now? But no. So back in the day when there used to be like, because a lot of the first anime I watched were movies.
Okay.
I mean, like the first 2 or 3 anime that I watched were Ghibli movies. The first anime series I watched was Neon Genesis Evangelion when I was also 9 years old. Far too young to watch that.
How the fuck would you want to watch Ava?
Yeah, how did you watch that final episode?
I didn't think about it too much, to be honest with you. I mean, as a kid, you're like, oh, explosion, nice colors, yay.
Oh, looks like mechas, fighting, crying,
look like giant robots.
masturbation.
I like giant robots.
Death.
Oh, why is her mom hanging from the ceiling?
Yeah, like,
why are there people hanging from the ceiling? Oh, wait, colors. No, so the first time I actually watched Ghost in the Shell was at a movie theater at like 11:30 at night. So back in the day, there used to be movie theaters, like independently run movie theaters, that the people who ran them would sometimes show anime movies late at night, and that the only way you could get in was to, you had to be 18 or plus.
But you were 9.
I know. My cousin snuck me in.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
I don't know. Listen, it was the 90s. People didn't check for IDs that much back then.
I just
you
imagine
need to check the ID of a
9-year-old.
9-year-old.
Just see
Anyway.
Alex stacked up with another
I was
9-year-old,
still-
right?
Yeah, I
They're
was
in a
in
trench coat.
a trench coat stacked up like 3 people on top of me.
Nothing
Yeah.
to see here.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
a
see here, guys.
businessman.
I don't know.
I am
was told
Vince
I was snuck.
businessman.
I was told I was snuck in, but anyway, I like to think that I was. But that's how I saw it. That's the first time I saw Ghost in the Shell. Like I was snuck into a movie theater to watch it very late at night.
Well, you heard it here first, FBI. When you eventually shut us down, Alex committed fraud. You can arrest him. He lives in Florida.
There's so many other better
FBI,
ways to
open up!
arrest me.
Well, this brings me to our next point about reminiscing about all this stupid shit is what keeps everyone liking anime. Because obviously, we've all started watching anime at a young age, but it's also been quite a number of years since we've realized what anime is, you know, like,
Yeah,
shit,
trash.
Natai, you've been watching anime for like 4 years since you realized what anime was, but I've been watching it for like 10 years, and
Yeah.
Alex probably like 20 years or something. He's ancient, so.
Thank you, John.
But what keeps you coming back for more? Why are you fueling this addiction?
Hentai.
For me, in particular, it's something. I like animation in general. It's not just anime. Like I also like cartoons. Like I'll be honest. There's some Disney movies I fucking love.
Okay, Moana is a really good movie. BT Dubs.
So is The Lion King, even though it kind of rips off Kim of the White Lion.
No, it doesn't.
Kind of. It is Kim of the White Lion.
It's not. I'm not gonna get into this. Ugh.
Okay.
But I have a great respect for people, artists and animators, because it's a skill I personally can't do. Like I've really, really tried for years now to like hone a skill at drawing, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
And like there's people out there there's people who are actual fucking artists who will say, oh, it just takes repetition and getting into it every day. And I'm like, yeah, but I did that for like 2 years one time, and the best I could still do at the end of it was a stick figure.
Really? You did 2 years and the best you could do was a stick figure?
Listen,
Yes,
he's not
like-
very good. That's what he's implying
no, I'm
here.
not. I'm not. And it's a great frustration for me because like I'm someone who's creative. Like I can fucking write. I like to think I'm a good writer. Maybe I'm shit. I don't know. But like I can visualize. Shut
Bad
up.
judgment.
I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to be humble.
I'm just saying,
Um,
everyone thinks they're an amazing writer until I review their book and then they cry.
Well, you read something I wrote one time and you said it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but that was because I was sparing. Anyway, we're not getting into that.
Anyway, yes. No, like as someone who I feel like I'm creative. Like I can come up with these ideas for scenes and characters. Like I can see what I want to draw. I can visualize it, but I can't fucking do it. And that's why I have so much respect for artists and animators that do what they do and do it well.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I can't do. I like seeing people do stuff that I can't do very well.
I can understand that.
It's
Yeah,
very
because
impressive.
animation is a fucking labor of love, right? Like we've talked about this a lot before, but the animation industry is pretty shit in Japan and basically everywhere else. They don't get paid a lot and they get overworked, but they love doing it, and I love watching it. Like I completely agree with that. Like these artists and these animators, they put a lot of effort into their work, and it's amazing to watch it translate to the screen, right? It's always good to see that. I 100% understand what you're talking about.
That's what keeps me coming back.
Yeah, I really like, obviously the art style is the main difference between it and everything else, that I really like, especially how cute it makes the boys look. And speaking of boys, I do like that a lot of men in anime are more feminine than what you see in Western productions, and I'm not talking about traps.
No. Like you bring up a very valid point. Like this Western ideology of like what a man needs to be is like super manly, burly, like old, rugged, whiskey tugging, tobacco smoking.
It's like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's like
much.
that's how Western animators have just been creating men. They need to be strong figures and all that stuff, and it's just nice to get a break from that.
Yeah, I do like the Eastern perspective on gender norms. That's interesting. I also am happy to watch a story that does not involve a white man explaining
Wow.
to me how he lives his white life. Okay? Which
Wow.
a lot of... Listen, I'm a person of color. I can complain about this. Which a lot of Western productions are about. And I mean, honestly, personally, I'm just oversaturated with that story. So, anime was a break from that. So I appreciate that aspect of it as well. I also like how often anime does fantasy and adventure stories, just because it's the animation genre, so it leans towards more fantastical stories, and it does well with those stories, and I find those types of stories very interesting. If you do those kind of stories in live action, you need a high budget for it, and because if you do it low budget, the special effects are going to look so bad that you can't even watch the show. So
and in animation, your special effects budget is your animation budget.
Exactly. So they can get away with a moderate budget and still tell an interesting story. So it's cool to see. It's basically it's a very different genre. There's like such a larger fantasy and adventure genre in anime than in live action American television, because it's just easier for them to do it. So they can do a much larger variety of it. So in that aspect, anime offers that unique experience. And the last thing, and maybe the most important thing, is that the anime industry is it's so different than Hollywood and the American television industry, in that I find that there's so much more creative freedom, and stuff that you would never see greenlit in America is greenlit every fucking day in Japan. And
Yeah, no,
It's-
Cough,
100%.
interspecies reviewers cough.
there's bad, I mean, it could be bad, it could be good, but it's very entertaining to see what bullshit can be thrown on the screen, and it keeps me on my toes. So that as well is something I appreciate about anime.
Okay, yeah. How about you, Natai?
I always was fascinated by how Japan has this very different sensibility in terms of storytelling and how they craft their stories. It's something that I still don't think I can put a finger on specifically what it is, but I remember at the time when right before I watched Death Note, and I would watch all these different Western TV shows. Some of them were really spectacular, like Breaking Bad, Daredevil, whatever. But there was just a lot of shit that it felt like wasting your time. Doesn't really it's 45 minutes. Doesn't feel like it's really respecting your time, and it doesn't have a whole lot to say. And in anime, I mean, it's also nice that it's episodes are shorter, and you have more often than not, you have these very complete series that aren't too long, which I also really like. But aside from all of these, I always found it interesting how you can have all of these very bombastic shows that at the core of them are just very super fucking intimate stories about their characters. I mean, you mentioned Evangelion before, but that show is about the end of the world and all, but at the core of it, it's about a guy who is just depressed. And that's something
Not just a guy, a teenager,
yeah,
right?
a teenager who is depressed. And that's something I never encountered before. I never got that out of Western TV. I never got the just bonkers filmmaking of Bakano out of anything I watched on Western television. I never got the just the just sheer emotional range I got out of Your Lie in April and everything I watched prior to anime, and it's so wonderful that each of these shows that I listed is so vastly different from the other, and that diversity is something you can see on a seasonal basis. I mean, sure, you have all of these cliches and stuff and tropes that we come to know and love or hate, but you see the shit that's like being aired seasonally, and it's crazy how different it is from something you watched like a few months ago. And but yeah, there's just something so special about it. I love it.
All of you have been putting tidbits of like why I love and still come back to anime as well, right? I love the creative art form. I love how much creative freedom they have, because you literally could have anything. Like you have a guy, or you have a restaurant that isekais and people from different fantasy novel areas and tropes come and eat at this fucking restaurant, and it's super stupid, but I fucking love it. And it's like I've never heard of something as stupid as that in Western television. Okay, that sounds so stupid, right? And fantastical. And it's like there's a lot of depth to a lot of these shows. Like I think about shows like Anohana, right? Like this is an anime, and then you think about watching Anohana or like Clannad or stuff like that. Like we get adult dramas like that, sure, occasionally, but it just hits you different because it's not adults portraying this, right? In these films, they're teenagers, they're high schoolers, right? And it hits you closer to home, and there's a lot more depth to it, and it's just like everything that goes into making anime for me, when I get to see the animation, when I see the hard work the voice actors put in, because as a lot of people probably know if you've been listening for a while, I prefer Japanese dub over English dub like 99% of the time, because the voice actors do a phenomenal job. Like they're like our actors who get paid millions of dollars minus the millions of dollars to play roles in movies. Like, have you ever noticed that a bunch of the very amazing voice acting in video games or in your movies, animated movies, are done by professional actors? Because voice acting is acting as a career, and the Japanese people just seem like they take it a lot more seriously. Like, we do have a handful of good English voice dubbers. Like, I love Yuri Lowenthal. Johnny Young Bosch is amazing.
Steve Blum.
I don't know which characters he plays, but
Spike Spiegel.
Spike Spiegel.
Oh shit! Yeah, see. So we do have a handful of good voice actors, but it's just nowhere near as good as the Japanese art, and I just love seeing that passion. Right? These people who put all their work out there for us to just fucking watch as entertainment. It's amazing, man. Like, the reason I started this was just because I just had this thought that came back to me. My older sister asked me a long time ago, why do you like anime? Like, you only watch anime. Why do you like it so much? What's so cool about these cartoons? And, it made me think. It's made me think for a long time about that question. Why do I like anime? And I think about it, well, I don't just like anime. I watch regular shows. I watch dramas. I watch Netflix stuff, YouTube series. Like, I watch live actions. I'm not just watching anime, but I do watch a lot of anime in comparison to the other things, and it's really just everything about it. It's my preferred medium. I love watching cartoons. I've always loved watching cartoons, and I was told when I was younger that I'd grow out of watching cartoons, and here I am, 27-year fucking old. I still love watching cartoons and anime. Like, it's just my preferred medium. They're a great medium to tell stories. They have so much more depth, and we've talked about this before, but it's growing. This market is growing. There's more adult animation coming out, not just in anime, but in Western cartoons. And it's because
Castlevania is a great example of that.
Yeah, Castlevania is a fucking great example of that. It's because animation isn't just for kids anymore. Like, in the West, animation used to be just for kids, but it's growing a lot bigger. And I love all this effort that people put into making these shows, and I hate, you hate to hear it when you hear about these studios not being paid. Like, I think it was the Attack on Titan episode you guys were talking about. Studio Wit didn't get any sales, right, from the sales of the DVDs or the Blu-rays,
Yeah.
and that's why they dropped fucking Attack on Titan. And I'm like, that sucks. Like,
I think that's part of the reason, but yeah.
but they were founded to do Attack on Titan. Like, that was their baby. They're the ones who made it as big as it is now. And then they have to drop it because they're not making money? That's so fucked up, you know?
You can thank the production committee system for that bullshit.
And it's just it's a damn shame that all these artists are putting their time, effort, and tears into creating something so wonderful and not getting enough out of it. But you know, that's one of the other aspects that just draws me to anime. This passion that they have for making these shows. Like, sure, we have shows that they're clearly just cash grabs, right? They're just trying to sell something. We have plenty of shows like that. But there's also a lot of shows, not just a handful, but other shows that just want a shot. They want to tell a good story. They think they have a good story. They have a good setting, and you know, they try to entertain us. And it's amazing.
I think you can see that what you're specifically talking about in the increasing amount of anime original series that are coming out.
And I have recently just started loving more and more anime original series. Like, it's amazing when someone can put themselves out there and then other people help them realize their dream to bring it to others. You know, it's an amazing thing. You know, it's just like anime isn't just for kids, and it's a medium that's just for entertainment, right? It's as good as any other show. Like, any other show anyone else can be enjoying. It's just as good, if not better. Like, I wouldn't say it's superior because, you know, I still like, again, live action stuff. I'm not a purist like that. Like, oh, anime's way better. Like, no, forget all that.
What are those 3D girls about?
Yeah.
John, I love it when you do your neckbeard impression. It's so spot on. It's like you live it.
I have lived it. I am a neckbeard. Are you kidding me? But yeah, it's just, you know, like, what anime means to me is it's just my preferred form of entertainment. I just like it, okay? There's really no deeper meaning than I like looking at cartoons. I think they're funny. I think they can be amazing. I've felt a range of emotions watching shows like Anohana and Clannad. You know, I tear up and stuff when I still watch Clannad, even though I know the ending, because it's like, it's just impactful storytelling. And it doesn't matter that it's anime. It could have been, honestly, if it was live action and actors could have pulled that off, I probably would have loved it just as much. But it's, you know, again, it's that passion that reignites me and just like, oh, I love this, you know? Just that you feel it in your fucking soul.
Yeah. I mean, and going back to something you said a little bit ago, a lot of that has to do with, you know, getting emotional about anime. It has to do with how passionate the voice actors are.
Yeah.
The Japanese voice actors. Because they sell these characters to you.
But it's like it's more than that. It's like it's just such a wonderful collaboration because you can feel the passion for the voice actors, from the music, from the animation itself, from everything. It like comes together to this, just create this like singular thing that is so, like, you know, it touches your heart, you know.
Yeah.
So I like how you were taking over the hosting duties there for a second, Sean.
Look, listen. We're like 40 minutes in and we're only halfway through the damn list, okay? And then I ranted for like 10 minutes about why I love anime. And so
I know.
Anyway,
so is there anyone, so kind of branching off of what John said about what anime means to him, do any of you actually consider it to be a fundamental part of who you are? Obviously John does.
I do now, you know, and it used to not be, because I was going to ask this later, but when I was growing up, you really couldn't be like out with your anime in like where I was at, because people would look at you weird, like, oh, you like anime? Like, you're typical,
are you, a fucking weirdo?
Yeah, like, I'm not shitting you. Like, the people who were open about liking anime were those weirdo neckbeard convention goers that the stereotype is based off of. I shit you not. Like, the stench and all.
Or it was the hyper introverted people who you thought was going to come to school with a gun.
I wouldn't say that for our people, for where I grew up, but it was definitely the stinky neckbeards. And yeah, everyone else
Y'all,
that I
if
knew.
you can afford a fucking PVC figure, you can afford a stick of deodorant. Use that shit.
For real. But yeah, everyone else I knew was just like the stinky people, and they were just the weirdos, the outcasts. No one really wanted to talk to them, so I couldn't be open about liking anime. And the very few people that I found that loved it with a passion like I did, they kept it extremely secret. And it's just it's shitty, not to not be able to express who you really are is a really shitty time, especially in your fucking formative, whatever the fucking word is, years. I don't know.
Formative.
Thank you. Me no English well. But yeah, in my formative years, I couldn't express who I was all the time. And that sucked, man, because when I got into anime, I was fucking 14. Yeah, this is right at puberty, right when I was supposed to, like, try to fit in, and it was really hard for me to come to terms with, like, being me now. Like, I'm a fucking editor of a podcast. I sit here and talk about fucking anime all the time. I have so many posters and shit now. Like, I'm not afraid to say I love anime. When
I have a shrine to Miku.
I have a Miku shrine, okay? Like, I'm not afraid to tell people at work, oh yeah, I've got an anime podcast. Oh yeah, I like anime. Like, it's who I am. Just as
and the
much
crazy
as...
thing is that now when you do that, there will be other people when you say that. It's like, me too.
Yeah, anime's so mainstream now, man. They never suffered like us. They are not true anime fans. But yeah, it's fundamental now. Like, I love going to conventions. I love this the weeb culture. I love being so engrossed in something that I could do hours of research. It's just fucking fun, man. This is passion. This is living life.
I will say I'm glad that some parts of the culture have kind of faded into obscurity, mostly the glomping and yaoi paddles. I'm really glad that's over with.
I have no fucking idea what yaoi paddles and glomping are. So
be thankful.
Again, I had to hide my weebness during that era, so
I was also, like, not open about anime or even games when I was in high school. I was like, I can't play games, I can't watch anime because that's what nerds do, and I'm not a nerd. I am a cool, popular person, and I could never be seen. Those losers.
Yeah. No, I completely
like,
understand that.
Looking back, I, like, totally regret it. Like, man, if I just, like, was open about it, I could have just, like, had fun with all the other people in my school that liked anime and played games, but no, I had to keep it to myself. And now I'm talking to you guys, and I totally
now
don't
we talk
regret
to
it.
every second of it.
We talk to strangers on the internet about anime.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, not only do you talk to us, you've actually met us in person. Well, not Natai, but me and John.
One day.
Yeah, that's true. Literally 1 year after meeting you guys, or being part of this podcast, I met Alex, right?
Yeah, you flew to Florida and stayed at my house for a week.
After just knowing him for a year because we were so into anime. God, see, I could have got murdered by Alex.
Yeah. It's good times.
Did he try to take you to his secret holo dungeon?
Yes.
Did he try to
but
put
he
a
was not
holo wig
having
on
it.
you?
I tried to indoctrinate him into the religion, but he was having none of it.
I don't know, right? The first day I got there, I passed out, and I did wake up with a sore bum. I had no idea.
Was it leaking?
I stuck an apple up there.
Oh, God.
No.
Oh, you shouldn't trivialize man rape. That's terrible. I apologize for that.
It's interesting that you guys, like, how you talk about the spirit, like, because when I was in high school and got into anime and was also into games and stuff, like, I never tried to hide it, but I guess I wasn't, like, I wasn't screaming it from the rooftops or anything. Just, like, if people ask me about it, I was like, yeah, I watch this and stuff. But also I had, like, a very good, close group of friends that also watched anime and played games. So I had my, I guess, outlet to just, be myself.
Yeah.
So, like, I am grateful for that, and some of them are still some of my best friends. I'm still in contact with them, and, like, I'm grateful for that period of time because I never felt like I was expected to behave in this and enjoy certain things. I was like, yeah, just you like what you like, and it's fine. Nobody actually gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I count myself lucky in that regard because I actually had a close group of friends, like 2 or 3 of them, who were also really into anime, like in late middle school, early high school for me. So that made it a lot easier. I never really hit it so much. Like I never intentionally hit it. I just never really talked about the like pop culture stuff that I was into with a lot of people until I got into like middle school and like really early into high school. But I never really intentionally tried to hide it. I certainly never hid it from my parents. But I know some people do that.
Hide it from their parents. Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe because their parents are hyper religious. Show.
Yeah, that's a big point too. There's like I talked about this before, or actually I don't know, we were talking about this earlier when I was mentioning it, but yeah, like I was into sports. I liked cars, I liked shoes, girls, and like, you know, typical high schooler, middle schooler stuff, right?
I think you still like a lot of those things.
I do. I still do. But, you know, it
Especially
wasn't
the girls' part.
It wasn't a well, now it can go either way, but we're not talking about my sexuality today. We're talking about how I had this like image in my mind where I couldn't like these nerdy things, these things that were embarrassing, because no one liked it when they found out I liked cartoons. Like, it was a kid thing. Like, it was okay for girls to still watch cartoons and like Hello Kitty and cute stuff, but I couldn't like be expressive about how I loved cute things, right? I love small cute things. I love dogs. I love little cats, little kittens, and little just baby goats and baby everythings, right? Except humans. Humans are gross. But but yeah, I couldn't be that guy. And I remember one of the head coach's sons was super into Naruto and Bleach. And he's like, you know, your typical quarterback, and he was super secretive about it. Like, his dad didn't even know he liked anime. But I remember after football practice one day, I was talking to one of my friends about Bleach, and then he just chimed in talking about it. He's like, you guys talking about Bleach? And I was like, yeah, man, do you watch Bleach? He's like, oh, dude, I read it. I was like, oh my god, me too. And then like we just had a blast just shooting the shit for like 30 minutes after practice, just talking about this thing that we like and enjoyed together. But like he was someone who had to hide it, you know, and that's the type of people I was around. Like, I couldn't be open about it, and it just fucking sucks, man. Like, I'm so happy that people don't have to deal with that to this day, at least not to the degree we did, where we had to, or at least where I had to fucking hide it. Like, I wasn't
Certainly
allowed.
Not to the degree I did.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to like what I liked because it was contradictory. Like, now my friends look at me, they're like, this guy likes shooting guns, he loves fucking barbecue, smoking cigars, riding motorcycles, he loves hunting, but he fucking loves computers, he loves games, he's a fucking nerd for anime, he loves all things cute. It's like, it's contradictory, right? Here's the rugged manly man stuff that I grew up with, knowing that this is what a man does, and I learned to love it. I learned to love the outdoors, sports, and just all that stuff. I learned to just appreciate things in my life that I like doing. And it just, I couldn't bring both worlds together until now, where I'm like, I do whatever the fuck I want, man. And that's what this is really about. Like, this is why we do this podcast. We just do what the fuck we want because we like doing it, because we like watching anime and just doing this stupid shit.
And talking about it.
Yeah, because it's so, like, it's just so fun. It's, why do you have to repress yourself, right? And it's amazing that in 2020, you're allowed to do this shit now. Men are allowed to be emotional. They're allowed to like whatever they like. Girls are allowed to like whatever. Everyone's allowed to like what they like. As long as you're not hurting nobody, who cares?
Yeah. So I do have to ask, because this has become inexorably linked to anime. When did you guys become aware of the existence of manga and light novels? Because most people that get into anime first and don't get into it through manga and light novels, at least in the West.
Oh, yeah. Like, anime was definitely the first step. I had manga given to me, so I, like, after I got into anime, so it was relatively quick. Like, I learned very quickly that manga is, like, the source, and then anime is the afterthought. But I didn't have any manga that I really cared that much about. It wasn't until like later in high school that I started reading more manga, like Soul Eater. I started reading Soul Eater. Started reading.
I'm sorry for you. I really am.
Well, because not just Soul Eater, but Soul Eater was like the one that my friend from high school, she was super into anime and super like open about it. She's the one who got me into that, and also shoujo manga. But I read Naruto and Bleach after I finished watching the anime, so it was pretty soon. Like, right after I finished the animes, I was like, I need more. I need my fix, man. Fucking just, what? It's from a manga? I don't care. Read all. This is the same shit. Got my
People never
my fix.
believe me when I people never believe me when I say what my first manga was, because they assume it's going to be something shonen like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, something like that. My first manga was Chobits.
I was about to say Chobits. Oh my god.
But the very first manga I ever read was Chobits.
Dude, shoujo manga. All right, fuck everybody else. This is another thing I've always struggled with. You know, I love shoujo manga. I fucking adore that shit. Okay, I have a heart of a maiden. All right, like, oh god, shoujo manga.
I think
But-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, and then light novels came way later. Like light novels and web novels, I actually just discovered like 5 years ago.
Oh.
And
The first light novel I think I ever read was probably the Monogatari series.
how
Same.
did I find like? I don't know, dude. Like, I remember my very first one was Mushoku Tensei, and it was when I just started here on the podcast when I met Jason, because he's the one who started like talking to me about like web novels and light novels, and I started reading source material.
The original czar of source material.
Jason was really he's the one who got me into it. So that's like, again, that was like 5 or 6 years ago. It's very recent. I just got into light novels, and I don't regret it. I love light novels.
What about you, Sho?
Well, my first manga was Onani Master Kurosawa. Because I heard it was like so great, so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll read it. And it's relatively short. It's like 31 chapters, so I'm like, okay. It's a very unconventional one to start with, but I didn't like. I really liked it at the time. I don't know why. But like looking back, that's not really my genre. It was like romance, and yeah, I didn't start reading manga. I still don't read that much manga. But I didn't start reading manga until much later, and I didn't really stick with it. I just don't have the attention span for it. I'm just like a zoomer. I can't just sit down and read a book. Okay, I need to go. And the first light novel I read, I'm trying to figure out the name of it. Oh my god. Something about a box. Something about Zero.
Oh my god, the one that you said that had the highest score, and you tried to get me to read, and I said the first
Yeah.
fucking volume was super boring.
I like
That
the first volume. What is
It
wrong
was so
with you?
boring.
Oh my god. You're so uncultured.
I am. I love fucking just basic bitch isekai novels, so you're not wrong.
Oh, it's called
Uh,
Oh no. It's getting here. Okay, The Empty Box and the 0th Maria.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Sounds
I
like
would
a light
recommend
novel
it.
title.
Listen. I have read one volume and I would recommend it.
It was just the first volume.
Listen.
Get out of here.
Listen, it was amazing.
Yeah, whatever.
I know Natai. I know his first experience with light novels was definitely the Monogatari series
Yeah.
because he told me it was.
Yeah, mainly because I love Kizu, and I was like, yeah, I need to read the book now. I think I was aware of manga from kind of like after watching Death Note, and then just talking to friends who recommended it to me, and they were like, yeah, it's based on a manga and this and that, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So pretty fairly on, like, I knew about it. I just never read much manga because I prefer watching anime. But the first manga I did read was Berserk because what can you do? There isn't much anime of it. And while I don't consume much of my Japanese media from manga, I do respect the fuck out of it because there's just so much skill that goes into it. And it blows my mind whenever I read any chapter of Berserk or JoJo or any just other manga. It blows my mind. The thing that did take a while for me to wrap my head around was light novels because, like, I remember, I think it was because of Sword Art Online that I know of light novels.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Was
Yeah.
it chapter 16.5?
Yeah. Oh jeez, the time was in chapter 16.5.
That
2.5
ca-
years of pent up semen.
John, that came later. It was just, someone recommended the SAO, and I watched it, so it was like, okay. And people said, yeah, it's based on a light novel. And I'm like, what's a light novel? Oh, it's just, it's a book. And I was like, so it's a book. What is... For the longest time, I was trying to figure out, like, what's the thing about light novels that makes them light novels? And then I guess I just sort of, just learn more and more about it. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this is it. And yeah, then I bought Kizu and I loved it. I don't consume any light novels and manga, but I do respect the shit out of it.
So you have a chance to blow my mind again. Are there fan translation circles for manga that do it in Hebrew?
That's a good question. I actually don't know, but I can look into it. Because
you could blow my mind again if you find me a Hebrew version of like fucking Berserk.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are websites that like fan subs in Hebrew of anime. I don't know if there are fans translations of manga to Hebrew, but I will look into it because I'm curious now.
I mean, on a side note about that, like I know that there's a lot of Russian, a lot of French. French people love fucking manga, dude. Like you in the Western culture, the one Western country that buys it more than America, like the Americas, I guess, would be France. It's like right up there. It's actually super insane. They love that shit. And it's funny because I met my family, my cousins that I've never met before in my life from France, and when they came here, they were watching Pretty Cure in it's in Japanese, but it had French dub or French subtitles. And I was like, oh my god, it's Pretty Cure. Like, what's
dope? Français?
It's crazy. And then, you always see like the Spanish, the Italian, French, and like it's
I'll tell
Russian.
you what, if you want a good time, even whether you speak the language or not, the Spanish language dub of Death Note, it's amazing.
What?
Amazing. It is amazing because they got telenovela actors to do the dub, and it's
so they're super
amazing.
Dramatic, aren't they?
They're super dramatic.
Oh jeez.
It's like Ele, soy Kira. No.
Yeah, I would say I definitely transitioned into way more manga and light novels than anime now. Like I used to be anime purist. Now I'm like I watch 3 different animes a season, and I read.
That's your quota.
Yeah, and I read. I have a fucking list. It's like 250 something different things I'm reading, and every day I check on my manga aggregate site for new releases for what I'm reading, and I just keep reading those every single day. I do this. It takes like an hour to 2 hours out of my day, where after I'm done with work, I'll come home, get up on my fucking Firefox, open up my manga aggregate site, and look through what's updated so far of things I'm reading. And light novels and web novels are completely different. So what I do with those is that I find a series I like, then I binge read it until I'm done. And then when I catch up to the translations, I completely forget about it until like 3 years later or something. So then I can binge read it again.
Girl, you need to link me that aggregate site, because when Kiss Manga went down, I'm like, bye, I'm not reading manga anymore.
We here at Anime Club After Dark do not condone pirating in any form.
We don't.
Well, we can't.
We do
It's
not.
not even up anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I do know that a lot of translators like using manga decks. I like using manga decks. Their UI is really good. They have this option so you can read it in a long strip like Webtoon, and I fucking adore that. Fuck clicking off pages, dude. Long strip, 100% all the way.
But what
And if
about
you have an account,
those
it'll
2-page
bookmark.
spreads?
Oh, then it will just zoom out.
Okay.
But I mean, usually when they do 2-page spreads, they split it off into. They'll do the spread of 2 pages, and then they'll split it off left and right anyway. So, fucking who cares? Like, I don't understand. I mean, it's great that they give you the spread, but it's like you're gonna give us the scan of the right and left page anyway. So, why did you bother with the spread? But I guess it looks better that whatever. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Yeah. Okay, so we're way past the hour mark now, so I'll finish this up by asking a question that I think a lot of us probably have the same answer to. So recently there have been a lot of live action adaptations of anime, manga, light novels, and the like. How do we feel about this?
Honestly, I hate live actions of everything in general, but it depends. So, Itazura na Kiss, Fool's Prank Kiss, or whatever the fucking English translation was. I remember when that translated to a drama, it was okay, but that was because the anime itself was like just a rom-com high school drama. So it honestly didn't need to be anime to be good, and the actors portrayed it decently well. But I obviously preferred the anime because the reaction faces are just funnier in anime. You know, like you can't do that in live action.
And I think there's a distinction to be made here, like between Japanese live action adaptations and like Hollywood live action adaptations.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about Japanese live action adaptation, which is still pretty bad. Like the Bleach movie that just came out, the Death Note movie, the Tokyo Ghoul live action, the Attack on Titan live action, okay, I'm gonna live action dramas. Live action dramas are okay by my book. They're okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of more referring to the
Hollywood
recent influx of Hollywood live action adaptations of anime and manga. So, I mean, there's some of them recently that have been a mixed bag, although you can say that there have been some, back in the day, looking at you, Dragon Ball Evolution, that were just god-awful and should just be burnt with a fucking flamethrower.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. But then you have more recent editions like the Alita Battle Angel live action adaptation, which I thought was actually pretty decent.
I still haven't seen it because I haven't read it, so I don't really.
But you
my biggest like complaint about it is that they tried to like cram way too much into a single movie, and they set it up to have a sequel anyway. So I mean, why did they try to cram so damn much into the first movie if they thought they were going to make another one?
I think there's room for these live action adaptations from Hollywood, even though most of them are garbage. It seems like people approach them and don't understand that anime and live action are completely different mediums, each with its own strengths. So it's just, I really don't understand how with all of this money they don't understand that they need to approach it let's just make a good movie first. Before it's an adaptation. Yeah, but make sure your movie is actually good as a film.
Yeah. Make sure your story is good first and foremost.
So there is room for that, and I probably shouldn't, but I know Netflix is making a Cowboy Bebop show, which is probably not going to be good, but I do want it to be good because it is still at the end of the day like it's Cowboy Bebop. I love it.
It's a fucking classic.
Yeah. But then you have something like Death Note, which was complete garbage. So
okay, that wasn't complete garbage because
only because Willem
played
Dafoe
a really good Ryuk.
Yeah, but that's like 5 minutes of the entire movie. Let's be honest.
I still think Willem Dafoe did a really good job in that role, and they
I like it.
If they try and do it again, they should just start with him because he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there is room for this. It just just approach it in the right way, and it'll be good.
Yeah, like I think that the Alita adaptation was probably the closest I've ever seen to what you're referring to as doing it in the right way, because it was done by someone who was actually passionate about the source material and knew what it meant to people who liked it, because he himself liked it. That being
Who
James
directed
Cameron.
that?
James Cameron.
Huh.
What? It's a Cameron film?
He bought the rights to.
I thought he only produced it.
I know he owns the rights to the adaptation.
Gotcha.
He bought those rights years ago, like almost 2 decades ago.
That's insane.
And he's been sitting on it ever since. So
probably just waiting for the tech to catch up, right?
Probably, which is what he's kind of famous for. He's like, he has these grandiose ideas, and then he looks around and he's like, fuck, I don't have the technology to do this. I'll just wait. So yeah, I think that, Natai, you're right, that you have to have the right mindset going into it. I don't think that, number one, I don't think anime fans should go into live action adaptations expecting a one-to-one recreation of the anime or the manga, because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. and the same token, people who like the producers and directors and actors can't go into this trying to do a one-to-one adaptation of an anime or a manga. The mediums are very different, and it's not going to translate well when you try and do a one-to-one adaptation.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to copy anime because they do so much weird shit, right? Like from the
Yeah.
facial expressions to the, like, just how they, because when you're voice acting, you don't have to physically move your body to do anything. Well, kind of, but you're just voice acting. You know, you're just using your voice to breathe life into a character. Versus when you're on screen, you have to voice act on top of acting, on top of doing choreography, on top of like props, on top of a bunch of other shit.
On top of looking like the character you're supposed to be portraying.
And it's just difficult, man. That's why, again, the live dramas that I've seen are pretty easy to do, because if they're based on like just Kimi ni Todoke style or Itsura Nup Kiss style drama, it's just a typical high school drama. You don't really need too much. But when it comes to when I think about the Attack on Titan movie, like, how the fuck are you gonna make a movie out of that? Like a 1-to-1 recreation, like with the 3D gear. Like, I guess you could make it all 3D CGI, but it's gonna look like shit, and it's gonna cost way too much money to try to make it look good, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think if you are going to do a live action adaptation of an anime, it needs to be one that's, for lack of a better term, grounded. That's not like, well, I mean, Attack on Titan's a good example because like they're constantly flying around. The fucking Titans, they already look like a fucking mess in the anime with the CG. They're not going to look any better in a live action CG. I mean, it's got to be something that's grounded, and like the romance and dramas are probably the most grounded. Like there's a Japanese live action version of March Comes In Like a Lion. It's not great, but it's still pretty good, and it's pretty good because it's grounded. There's no fantasy elements. There's no special effects. It's a human story, and that's why it's not bad.
But then when you look at the anime, you have all of these different scenes that they take advantage of the fact that, oh, it's anime. Like, I can't remember, like, in season 2, there's this whole episode about this guy, and throughout the episode, he has all of these, like, fuck, what are they called? I'm blanking on it. But, like, these, fuck.
he has all these fucks.
Exactly.
So many fucks to give.
He has all of these. Anyway, they have all of this metaphor for him for like other people weighing him down, and it's all presented visually in animation without much dialogue, and that's something that can't be done in like live action, but not necessarily to the same degree of effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
So it's like different mediums, different strengths. That's the whole point.
And you have to, as a creator, you have to exploit the strength of the medium you're working in. And that's the biggest problem with, I think, a lot of live-action adaptations of anime, is that they try way too often to do one-to-one recreations of certain scenes or entire anime, and it's just not going to work.
But if they don't do a faithful recreation of the source material, yeah.
Yes.
Why is L black? That doesn't make sense. He wasn't black in the anime.
God.
I mean,
I liked
think
Black
another-
L.
I don't know, why is Edward Elric fucking Japanese?
Oh my god, whatever. Show, yes, show.
Yeah, I think another problem with live action adaptations is that they're trying to recreate a, like, I don't know how long, 12-hour long TV show into a 2-hour long movie. And that's just, like, you're already set up for failure there. You're not going to tell, like, a proper story at all.
Which is going to be interesting because, like, with the Cowboy Bebop thing that's coming, that's not a movie. That's a live-action series.
Yeah.
Oh.
That might turn out better.
Is Yoko Kanno doing the music?
I think she
don't
is.
know.
I hope she is.
I really hope.
If not, they should just reuse the music, and I swear to God, if I don't hear Tank. Like, I swear to God.
It'll probably be the ending theme for the show instead of the opening.
It better be the fucking... Well, do American live actions even do openings? Hold on now. Yeah, well, they do openings.
Depends.
But yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, I mean, show's right. Like, it's hard to compress it. and then you get like the trolls like I was voicing that just don't like things because it's their own vision. I don't. Yeah. It's nothing like the source material. Like, dude, it can't be like the source material. It's a 2-hour fucking movie.
I will say probably the best example so far I've seen of a Hollywood anime / manga / light novel adaptation that was done really, really well is Edge of Tomorrow, which is an adaptation of All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah, I liked Edge of Tomorrow as much as I don't like.
That was really good, and apparently it's getting a sequel.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, that was so good. Like, I mean, okay, Tom Cruise isn't a teenager, but he played the role really well.
Well, I mean, I don't like Tom Cruise. Okay, I don't care for any of the Mission Impossibles. Okay.
Okay. Where are you going with this?
No, just saying.
Where are you going with this character assassination, John?
I'm just saying, I don't care for Tom Cruise. All right, but I liked Edge of Tomorrow, regardless of Tom Cruise being in it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But again, that was a good example of they actually changed what they were doing to fit the medium they were adapting it for.
Yeah, I thought
and it was done really well.
As a standalone movie, it was fine. It did fine. Like, it's okay for people to make their own standalone versions of movies. You don't have to be 100% faithful, like a one-for-one shot recreation of the source material, right? As much as I would love for everything to be one-for-one, like, you can't translate it 100% all the time, but you need to translate it the best that you can in your artistic vision. And if people don't like your artistic vision, then that's fine. They don't like it. Someone might, someone won't. You know, it's just how it is.
And there's always the original source material.
And there's, as long as the source still exists, people still know about it, it's fine. Like, you can take artistic liberties with your fucking translation. Like, do what you want. Make it yours. Make it unique. Make it memorable. Like, don't make it shitty, but like...
I mean, and a good thing is that even with a bad adaptation, you can still put a spotlight on your original source material. I mean, even with a bad anime adaptation, a lot of source material that the anime is based on ends up getting a sales boost from it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's why people make anime in the first place, is because they want to boost some fucking sales in the manga and the light novels business. Like. And to sell merch. that's really why they do anime. So
it's like when Netflix released that Death Note live action debacle. I think there was an article I saw like right after that the most watched anime on Netflix the month after that came out was the Death Note anime.
Makes sense.
That's how it is, because people were like, it can't be that bad. And they watch the anime and they're like, oh yeah, the English dub is still pretty stupid. Then I eat a chip.
So fucking good.
It's so bad.
I love the dub.
It's so bad. Oh god, I remember watching it in English because I didn't know anime back then. But then I watched it in Japanese and it's way better in Japanese. Just saying. Every time I think of that, and then I eat a chip.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
So is he so serious?
The show would have been lesser without it.
It would have been.
You know what?
It would have been so much lesser without it.
It
also would have been
memorable.
So much lesser without the sexual tension between Light and L.
It was just a memorable moment. Like, I may say it's stupid and shitty, but I still remember it to this day. So it did its job. I still talk about it.
Well, hell, the Room is a really shitty movie, but people still talk about it.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I did not hit her. I did not.
I did not.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hello, doggy. You're my favorite customer.
Oh, God.
I think that's a great place to end it, because this, at the end of the day, is why we're here.
Because of Tommy Wiseau?
Because of Tommy Wiseau. We're all here because of Tommy Wiseau in the room.
That's a great place to end it, because you're right. Like, Tommy Wiseau just wanted to make The Room, dude, and he did it. And it was terrible, and everyone fucking hated it, but we're still here, aren't we? Still talking about it.
I mean, it's kind of like the American dream. I mean, Hiroyuki Imaishi wanted to make an anime studio. Now he's making an adaptation of Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Just living the dream, baby.
All right. Well, thank you out there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it because we always enjoyed bringing this stuff to you. This is a fun episode to record. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or if you have ideas for topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. As always, I've been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
I'm still in a dream.
Snake eater.